Today's video has to do with Venus entering the sign of Pisces on January 26th. I'm publishing this video on that day. I have 5 dates possibly and a couple charts to talk about some important chapters in this Venus and Pisces story. Venus is going to roll right through this to the sign of Pisces. 3 weeks. Venus is going to steamroll through it to eventually get to Aries. That's a whole nother video. I will talk about some important dates. Let's put up a chart up on the screen here. And here is actually the Venus ingress chart. You can see Venus enters Pisces at January 26, 6:32 p.m. Pacific time. Some of you might be watching this video after I'm done or while it happens. Venus is and loves to be in the home of Pisces. Traditionally, they call this a planet that's exalted. Venus is home. She's got a bunch of homes, actually. Of course, Venus has a bunch of homes because Venus deals with like resources and money. But Venus has a home in Taurus. It's home there. And Venus is at home in the air sign of Libra. When it's in Pisces, it's like the vacation place of Pisces. It flows like best friend. I flow there. The wine's going to flow there. The music, the senses. Venus becomes this ethereal goddess there. She already is a goddess in many different ways, but she is flowing in this waterfall dream place of the sign of Pisces. You know, a place of creativity and imagination, a place of love and healing and compassion, its own sense of eroticism too. And so this is great on paper. This is a good transit on paper, right? For the most part this time. I'm going to showcase a bunch of dates here to talk about. One that happens within the first week that's not the easiest, but there's a certain flow that happens the next 3 weeks. So here's the ingress chart. Venus enters in Pisces. We have the moon in Aries, as you can see, that just passed through, touching Chiron in Aries, Jupiter in Aries, and it's going to do this with the Jupiter story involved here all the way till May. So that's a sensitive spot. Little side note about Aries people, Aries placements, that whenever the moon's in Aries here, it's always going to touch Chiron for a while, but especially Jupiter's in the mix. So make note of those days, especially if you're somebody who has to deal with somebody who's in Aries or has Mars, Venus in Aries or the moon in Aries. Super raw, sensitive peoples, okay? So just to say that, you could see Venus is at 0 degrees. I will make a note here that right there, Mars is in Gemini at 9 degrees. It just finally stationed retro, moved forward about a week and a half ago. It's moving slow. There's a reason why I'm mentioning that. We'll actually move this a couple days here. Actually, it's a couple days. I'm going to go to like February 2nd here as another important day. The reason being is there is Venus at 8 degrees in Pisces, and I will move to the North Node and the South Node here in Scorpio at 8 degrees. If you've been watching the channel, you've been watching the eclipses since they entered Taurus and Scorpio at the end of November 2021, you know that the fixed signs and fixed rising signs, especially Scorpio and Taurus, have had a wild, intense, transformative year plus, a lot of energy shifting and story shifting in those parts of your chart, the Taurus and Scorpio parts of your chart, especially if you're rising signs too, Scorpio rising, Taurus risings. I feel you. I know that. My clients, a lot of you have come to me in the last 3 or 4 months. We've talked about this story. Why am I bringing it up now? Venus is at 8 degrees, harmonizing and trining 120 degrees away from the South Node in Scorpio, and sextiling, opportunity, sextile, quick one, with the North Node in Taurus. Hey, a good chapter in this nodal story for you, for those people I just mentioned. I just want to make note of this. Venus in Pisces is going to bring a connective, imaginative, creative solution or flow to this eclipse story. It's not all messed up. You have to pick and choose and find the times. And this week, that kind of like the 31st, first into the second and the third, Venus touches upon those places and gives a little bit of salve, a little bit of healing, a little bit of no pressure, the fixed pressure that's been happening with the eclipse cycle. It brings some beauty and feel good vibes to both of y'all signs who need it. I sure the hell need it. I'm making a note of it. That's why I made a note of this, is because I'm affected by this. And we can look here to the Pisces part of your chart, look to the Scorpio and the Taurus parts of your chart, and see the connectiveness and work it those couple days. Find something there. It doesn't have to be dramatic, doesn't have to be huge, but it is sensitive in a good way. So that happens on the 2nd of February. Then we get to it. I find a fascinating couple days with this because of the story, and you're going to see a bunch of videos, and you're going to read a bunch of posts about incredible Venus and Pisces and romance and love and all that stuff. It's all legit. It's all real. She flows there. That's what's happening there. But it's not all that, because when we get to the 4th, here, and here's February 4th. Here we have Venus is at 11 degrees, and there is Mars that I mentioned earlier at 11 degrees. And they're both mutable signs, and they're both squaring each other. It's a 90 degrees square. So there's a clash here. Mars in Gemini is now starting to get its head together because of what happened during the retrograde for months. Mars has been in Gemini since August of last year. Just finished the retrograde. Intense mind chess games going on with anybody affected with this. Now Mars wants to push it, and it's a little bit more clear and decisive about what's happening in multiple areas of mind and communication, and it's squaring off and kind of busting the bubble of the Venus and Pisces dream ethereal world of love and light and divine everythingness. And here comes Mars in Gemini, all mind power. And not only that, in one way, there's a little bit of a pressure release here, though, too, because that's what happens with squares. When squares happen in astrology, something is challenged and something needs to change. So something needs to change in the Venus and Pisces story here. And same we will say with Mars. I think Mars has a little bit of the upper hand here, though, if we're thinking about challenge and win-loss. But this is more than that, because Mercury in Capricorn rules Mars in Gemini and is going to bring a practicality and a seriousness these couple days from the February 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. When this is happening, Venus and Pisces is going to get tested, and reality's coming their way, which is good. Boundaries are coming their way, which is good, because Mercury in Capricorn is ruling the Mars in Gemini. And so there's a reality check and a little bit of a bursting of the bubble for Venus and Pisces dream world, where there's a bunch of empty wine bottles on the ground, and there's the kitchen needs to be cleaned up because there's just been a dream world party going on. And it's part of it's romantic, part of it's ethereal, but part of it's just like, hey friends, we're all one. And maybe there's some empty blunt rolling materials are laying around, and maybe some other kind of interesting, and this, I'm making fun of this, but I'm also bringing in like music, creativity, and the senses, and how we like to expand and go out to the dream and creativity and love, and not be in reality, to take things to another plane. And in there, we need that as people and as culture and as the world. The inspiration and beauty lies there. At the same time, though, it's boundaryless, Venus and Pisces, and it can get lost and disassociate and like melt, and like water permeates into anything that it touches. It will identify with something else and get lost. So you actually need a square like Mars and Gemini to go like mine, go nope, and quick, and in all seriousness with the Mars and Capricorn guiding it. So I just want to say that it's not all dreamy, happy-go-lucky love life with this transit. I know a lot of you want something like this because of what we've been through transit-wise. I don't blame you, but I'll tell you on a deeper, longer story, you need reality, because reality brings dreams to fruition. It makes dreams come true. And so Venus and Pisces needs this. Some of y'all might disagree, but what you can do, and remember that at the same time, whenever Mars and Venus clash, it's also passionate. So there's a passionate mind thing too that can happen here, where there's like raw passion, the integration of the Venus and Pisces creativity with the sharpness of Gemini mind, and where that can go when utilized is actually pretty hot, and it can be beautiful in its way once they get through the challenge. And I'll admit it, Mars and Gemini needs a little bit of sensitivity. They need to get out of their head for where they've been. I just showed you a bunch of different sides of that story, but that happens on the 4th. I'm going to move this over to the 7th, and here we have a great day. Another interesting thing, and this kind of ties into this Mars, or to the Taurus Scorpio eclipse story, the Taurus story of Uranus and Taurus that's been going on. And the reason is because Uranus is at 15 degrees, and we look at this point that Venus is waxing towards at 14 degrees that day. So after the Mars-Venus clash, a couple days later, we build up to a Venus connection, sextile connection with Uranus and Taurus. Sextile happens to have a quicker conduit of an aspect, and it does bring a flash of opportunity here in this case. And I say flash because of the planet Uranus and how it activates and moves out of the blue, alternative ways of doing things, not the norm in Taurus, in a sign that's actually ruled by Venus. So you could see how this moment of time, the 6th, 7th, and the 8th, is actually some candy too. So we get past the clash of Mars and Venus, and we get to this place, and we're like, oh, there's a new Uranus and Taurus is like, hey, Venus and Pisces, what's up? I've been a little bit out of my norm lately. Lately's been since 2008, or 2018, I should say. But it's like, that's when Uranus entered Taurus. But with these eclipses and this having this movement with Taurus and Scorpio land and a fixed land, but here's a little bit of fun, spontaneous fun. When Earth Taurus gets together with water Pisces, they're vibing with each other. So it's actually a different way of having a good time, and a different way of not just taking a step out that Venus and Pisces wants to do, but there's a longing here for a deeper love. And I think Uranus and Taurus brings a different way of doing it. So you could see how this could be worked. This is a really good transit. I like Uranus transits. And for all you Tauruses and Scorpios and fixed people who have fixed sign or fixed something at 14, 15, 16 degrees, you need this. So you got now 2 things during this Venus transit that are helping you out after a lot of the hardship that you've had. Use it, okay? Don't overindulge. There's a tendency to do it with these two planets, the way they're relating with each other. But in the end, there's an opportunity, and there's a socialness too, involving the senses and integrating the senses with oneself and with their environments and with people around them. And I say this because Venus rules Taurus, and Taurus deals with those resources in the sensory world in an earthbound way. And then you have Venus and Pisces as home. There's a super flow here. There's beauty. Take notes. Find yourself and let yourself go to that place of flow. Reality always comes in. Watch how far you go. Some of you Pisces people, you already do this enough. Maybe you need to be a little bit careful. I know it's feeling good, but this is good times right here, okay? I got to say that. I'm a cynical guy, cynical astrologer. I'm in the reality as much as possible. This is a good reality. Okay, so there's some other aspects along the way, but let's jump to a fascinating 2 days. And here I'm gonna go right here, just for you romantic people out there. I can take it or leave it with Valentine's Day, because it's really interesting and good for some people, but there's always people left out, and that this day can bring harsh memories to people. So I'm not gonna take a stance either way, but I'm acknowledging the different ways this Valentine's Day can be, okay, in general, okay? So here's February 14th. Now, why am I bringing this up is because we're going to look to Venus and Pisces, and we're looking at 23 degrees Venus here, and you could see right there next to it is Neptune in Pisces, okay? And actually, let's just blow this up for the kicks. Let's just blow it up, because there it is. Neptune and Pisces, Venus and Pisces. Now, talk about a complete ethereal experience in days. It's happening there. Now, it officially happens on the 15th, okay? It's going to happen the next day exact, but it's already happening, right? So, this is what I'm going to tell you. If you're in a situation and it's feeling good, whether it's friends or family or an intimate other or others, good times, right? Feels good. Oh, you're the one. Oh, you're my soulmate. Oh, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, could be totally true. It doesn't last forever. Not to burst your bubble, but just be aware that it's coinciding with Valentine's Day and the next day. And days like this can be incredible for some of you. The other side of it can be completely illusionary, completely fantasy and fog because of the high idealism of love, the ultimate high ideal love that Venus and Pisces bring, connecting with Neptune and Pisces. You're talking about the biggest in boundaryless wave of idealistic love thinking and being and making possibly that you can get. And again, it's great. At the same time, one can lose themselves in some sort of fantasy and fog and illusion when it comes to relationships. Let's bring in money and resources. One can spend extravagantly here because there's no boundaries and they think the money well is always going to be there. Or money just kind of leaks out through pleasures, through the fantasy, because so on and so forth. So you could see how this can work and how it can flow. I don't want to rain on your parade. I'm just showing you a couple different sides of this, but it's so interesting that it's happening on Valentine's Day and on the 15th, Venus flowing there. Let me stop here for a second because there's one more day I'm going to bring up, okay? But I'm going to take my version of the positive route here, of what with hope and with vision. Beyond some of the stuff I mentioned with a transit like this, if you can find a way and vessel of using Venus and Pisces, regardless of what goes on in your chart, if you can find a way, in a healthy way, to get to a place of healing, get to a place of compassion for yourself, with yourself. Fine, there's other people, but let's not talk about other people. I'm talking about that place that we're all connected to, that individual core temple inside of all of us that we go to, where when we get through and past our fears and the mind battle that we have and the parts of ego that can sidetrack us, when we get past all of that, depending on your beliefs or what you're into, there's different ways of getting there. But I'm going to say it's that place in you that's that pure light, pure love, pure beauty. That's rare and hard to find, that we as human beings aspire to. There's the other part of life where people are conflict, into power games, into struggle, into the fight. That place I'm talking about isn't about the fight. It's about genuine, compassionate, infinite love. And a Venus in Pisces and Neptune place, it's there to go to. It's just how you go there. Some people are going to find different vessels to step out. I'm not going to say step out. I want you to step in, in how you do it. And make sure you do it in a healthy, easy, deep way. Because there's depth in this one. It's a special moment of the year, actually. And I think here, if you're looking for something to help you guide you for the next so many months, there's some sort of piece of sparkly purple gold this time. Hence the lights I have in the background. The place to swim deep, to let yourself go into that infinite, 100% pure love place where I believe we all come from, and that's always there. So that's my little side note for this. See, I'm not that cynical. I'm not. We'll get past the romance here and the potentials, and we'll go to the 19th. And I'll keep it zoomed here. And the 19th, Venus in Pisces is at 29 degrees, the anaretic degree, the last day before it's going to switch over soon. It's going to go into Aries. And we are looking at a sextile, another opportunity aspect with Pluto and Capricorn at 29 degrees. Fascinating. I haven't brought up a couple things yet, and I'll bring it up now. There's some depth in this one. Now, there's a solidification in the depth that deals with a regenerative process with Pluto and Venus and Pisces. Talk about depth. Talk about the things that have happened in the last couple of weeks with Venus and Pisces. And then you have this like deep solidifying moment. It's not just passionate. It's more than that to me. It's more like it ties in to the story of Pluto and Capricorn, and that story started in 2008. And if you don't know, Pluto is going to leave Capricorn and go into Aquarius in the end of March. And it's going to play an interesting dance and game. It's going to leave Capricorn and go in a couple degrees, and it's going to retrograde back and go back into the late degrees of Capricorn. And it's going to do that for the next year plus, year and a half, all the way through next year, 2024. So we're getting this 1 foot in, 1 foot out vibe. At the same time, we just had Venus go through Pisces at this point. It's February 19th. It's at the last degrees. It just touched and moving away from Neptune. And then on March 7th, the planet Saturn is going to enter the sign of Pisces for 2.5 years. In a way, you have an interesting Venus and Pisces transit that is actually kind of a prelude, pre-chapters of a Saturn and Pisces story that's going to go down. It's not so easy. Saturn, wherever Saturn touches, Saturn is going to want to deconstruct and reconstruct in a reality-based way. So the whole thing of idealism, creativity, the oneness, the music and art and all that, a lot of the things that Pisces rules and deals with, the mutability is going to go through a reconstruction. And the 3 weeks that we have here of this Venus in transit actually will show you some clues about what will need to be reconstructed. I'm really saying this for the Pisces people. As for the Pluto and Capricorn story, it has an ending, at least in this chapter of it moving forward. It has a little bit of an interesting connection with Venus and Pisces. Pluto, which is such an intense sign that deals with power struggles and its own form of deconstruction, but it's what it wants is to bring things up to the surface that on a subconscious level that are not working anymore, whether it's within yourself or within society, and it wants to uproot, like bring those things up so they can change and be transformed. And here on that day, Venus throws a little bit of its light, and Pluto does too, and sees the light. That earth sign Capricorn, that water sign Pisces, they have an interesting couple days right there. And that's another moment. It might not be dramatic outwardly in your life unless you got stuff at 29 degrees. I do. But it's like, but you might catch something there. But as for the longer story, there's some sort of casting of a light and hopeful light that Venus and Pisces have onto that Pluto and Capricorn there. Now, that's my opinion. And that's all I'll say about this Venus and Pisces transit. I was going to end this video talking about love and light and all that, but I think I did it earlier with that Valentine's Day thing. I was trying to be optimistic. I'm trying to balance my own visions of what love and is. So, whatever your personal story is going on, it's a little bit of a break here with Venus and Pisces. It's not it's not like super easy, but it's a transit that, in a sense, so many of us maybe need or been wanting, because before you know it, and March comes, here come the big heavy hitting movements, and that's Saturn and Pisces, Pluto going in Aquarius. Next thing you know, it's April, and then we got another round of eclipses coming, and a lot more passion and a lot more change coming. But if you're looking for the dream and that sparkle of gold, you might be able to catch it the next 3 weeks when Venus is in Pisces. If you like my channel, if this is the first time you're watching, I do things on the fly and I'm new to all this. If you like it, hit the subscribe button and actually leave a comment and tell me what you think. Tell me what you're feeling. How is Venus and Pisces going to be like for you? How much do you know about astrology? Put whatever you want in the comments. I'll answer it. I'll say what's up. I have a Patreon. I have my website, Sparkles of Gold. And I appreciate you being here. And in my purple lavender dungeon of hope, faith, in a dream. I'll see you on the next video.